Alright, welcome back to another video on this channel. So as you can tell from the title, we are going to be drawing skin, specifically realistic or hyper realistic skin, however you want to call it, because I feel like right now that word gets thrown around a lot. So let's just get into the video. So as you can see, I've already started this drawing. I've already started with the eye. I haven't finished. Obviously I have the lower part of the eye to do and all that, but I'll leave that for later. Right now I just want to focus on the top part of the eye right above the eyebrow. Okay, so if this is your first time watching me, you're just gonna say that I'm going to say the tools and stuff I use, everything is going to be in the description. Most of you who have been watching me for a while know what I use in terms of the medium and stuff and the paper I use. So I'm just going to go over like a brief summary or whatever, So this is a Strathmore Bristol 300 smooth paper, and then with the charcoal I'm using, for the pencils I use General charcoal pencils, I use Conte Paris pencils. And for the powder I use, it's a compressed charcoal stick called Jacquard, which I grade into powdery form into separate containers because it comes in different shades of grey, which is what I like. So that's just a summary. I think I have a video on explaining in depth the tools and how I use them and stuff, I think. So you can go over to my channel and then find something, find the video which could explain it to you if this is your first time watching. But let's just continue with the video and then I'll be explaining things as I go. So this isn't going to be a time lapse or anything. So right now what I like to do is build tones. Right, I like to build from light to dark. So I'm not going to go straight with the skin, like, I'm not going to go with exactly with this value from the start. I'm going to start with a lighter value and then build my way to the value that I want. So I'm going to grab my makeup brush. Yeah, I use makeup brushes and paint brushes as well. So grab my makeup brush, soft makeup brush, pick out some of the light value charcoal powder, and then I'm going to do is just go over this area. Now I like to shade in boxes, so that's something people know me for, and it's just something that's just my technique. That's just what I like. That's what works for me. So you don't have to shade like this in squares. You can shade however you like. Alright, but the concepts still remain the same. The basics still remain the same. Shading from light to dark is what I believe is the best, in my opinion. So that way it reduces the chance of you making mistakes, going too dark, if you have to correct something. So let's just take this as my undertone. This is my first layer of charcoal. I'm going to increase the grade or the value so I can get a little bit darker. Okay, so I think I'll go 2 more values above what I just used and pick up with my paintbrush, my makeup brush again, and then we'll go over this. And what I like about the Jacquard charcoal is how easily it blends with whatever value you already had. So that way it creates a smooth transition. You don't see this like blocky. You don't see lines in between the squares that I shade, so it seems like a puzzle, and when you put everything together, it becomes one full, complete image. So just looking at the reference, just seeing how the values are looking like in the reference compared to my drawing. That's one very important thing to do, is compare. Don't just tunnel vision looking at the drawing the whole time. You have to comparing back and forth. Make sure your tunnel values are right. That's very important. So right now it looks like we're at a decent place in terms of value. Don't worry about the little bit of charcoal going outside the shading area. We can always clean that up with a kneaded eraser or something. Alright, so now that I have some sort of general understanding of what the value is supposed to look like, I can start adding a little more darker tones to create a form, to give, so it doesn't look flat, So have a smaller makeup brush, which I like to use for stuff like that. So I'm going to pick up, I think, a little bit. I'll go a step darker than what I just used, and then and if you always have to correct something, you do it, because I can see I have some correction to do around this area, so I just need to go darker. It's not really a correction. I just need to go darker. So right now I'm just going to pick up the charcoal with my paintbrush. Sorry, I keep saying paintbrush. With my makeup brush, and then go darker right here, because I can tell it's darker around the corners, like right here, and then closer to the eyebrows, like that. Don't be afraid to go dark as well. Like when you're shading, you have to shade with confidence. You see how I just go onto the paper without any, and that's something that's going to come with experience. The more you do it, the more you're going to have a better judgment of what you're doing. And your art at the end of the day, just have fun with it. You don't have to go exactly how it looks like in the reference. But one thing about realism is your values have to be 100% right. If you want them to look realistic, the values are way more important than the details. I always say that. Okay, so I can see here's like a little bit dark tone right here. Then we can just go like that, and then I think we have to go a little bit more. No, I'm not applying too much pressure with my hand with the brush. I'm just letting the brush do its thing by just glancing it, because if I press too hard, I can leave some dark spots, which I don't want to do. You know how stubborn charcoal can be. So with that in mind, always make sure just go with the minimal pressure in the beginning, and if you need to go harder with the pressure, then you can, like right here, because I need to go that it's the same grade of charcoal, but you can tell just because I add a little more pressure, that area darkened up a little bit more. Okay, so right now I'm not worrying about details, right? I know guys are some guys and girls are so much invested into the details, and I get that's the fun. That's what makes it fun, right? But let's focus on getting the values from the form first, and then like it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. We have to seek first the value of the drawing. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah. So don't mind me. Let's just keep adding and adding till we get what. Okay. I like that. So now back to where I said I wanted to correct, which is right above the eyelid. So this is something I didn't even see the day I was drawing. You see, that's why I think it's good to, when you get tired, you should take a break, come back with fresh eyes. Because on the day I thought everything was good, but looking at it now, I can tell the shadow right here is much darker. It's almost completely black, but it's not. It's much darker. So I'm using the Conte Paris pencil because I like this pencil because it goes really dark. So I'm just going to go and say I'm not pressing too hard because this pencil can go really dark. Okay, so I think that's better. Just going to add a little bit more right here, and then maybe darken the line that separates the eyelid a little bit, and that's good. So what I like to do when I'm drawing, just to avoid having my palm smudge the drawing, I usually use a stick. If you guys go back to my previous videos, I have a stick that I put, but usually I use that on a drawing desk. Using that on the wall, because when I'm drawing on the wall, using that on the wall is kind of uncomfortable. So I just use a paper, which I don't really like, but I have to until I get a new drawing board. This is what we're gonna have to settle with. I just have to be extra careful. However, with a stick, I could just put a stick over, knowing the stick is never touching the paper, so there's no way. But with this one, the paper touching the paper can still smudge if you're not careful with the paper placement, so it's not the end of the world. But also, let me know in the comments if you draw on the wall, or you draw on a flat desk, or you draw on an inclined drawing desk, which is what I like the most. Alright, so we have this now. I'm sure you guys can tell it's starting to form a little bit more. I'm going to grab my soft general charcoal pencil and then just gently glide out, just add a little bit more value right here, and then blend it all with my makeup brush. Okay. Grab some charcoal powder on there, and then that's what I like to do. So after I shade with a pencil, I still like to grab some charcoal powder, then smudge everything with it, so that way it gets rid of the pencil strokes. And I like this, so you can tell it's a little bit darker right here on the. Okay, so this is good. I think we should go a little bit darker right here, like that. It's not too much, but just a little bit. And then blend it in. Blend it in with the the other parts of the skin, so it doesn't look like a line. It has to be a smooth transition. I like this very much. I feel like this area right here, you can see there's a little light spot there, which I don't like. It's too light. I mean, it's supposed to be light, but it's too light for my legs. I'm just going to tap and bring it down a little bit, see how that looks now. I think it's better. So looking at the reference, I can see another dark kind of value right here, just like this. Yeah, that's good. All right, and now since we are there, where we are, I have to draw what I see. So I can see I have some hairs on the sides, right about here. It's not too much, so not too dark as well. So I'm using a hard charcoal pencil because I don't want to go too dark. Alright, we don't want to go too dark with it, because that way it will look unnatural. Just kind of blend it, kind of hatch, using the hatching technique, just gently bring it in. Like that. So let's just leave that for now. This is what we have. And I like this so far, right? Now we could shade the ear, we could just do the ear right now, but I think I'll do that when I get to the lower part of the eye. So let's just leave that for now, okay? Because today we're focusing on the skin, even though the ear is part of the skin, but let's just finish the area we are focused on. So now that I have this, I can go in, I feel like I have my values and everything. I can now, I can now go in and then add some details. So what I'm going to do is look at the reference. Now there's not much highlight on this part of the skin. There's a little bit of highlights, but it's not to the point where it's white. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my Faber-Castell Polychromos warm gray pencil that I like to use for detail. Okay, place a paper on top. There we go there, and hopefully you guys can see this. I know you guys like the details, right? So I'm just going to, naturally the paper has kind of given me some little gray spaces, negative spaces on the shading, so I might not have to create those myself, just add the shadows. Judging by the reference, looks like the shadows are on top of the highlights. So what I'm going to do is just grab, I don't want to press too loud. I don't want to look like black dots on his skin. Right, so this is where you don't have to, there are some people who like to follow the reference exactly. I just like to look at it and see what a general idea of the skin texture is, and then try and kind of create my own thing, then so we can just go on like this. At this point I'm just glancing at the reference just to give myself a general idea of what his skin is looking like. There's a little, like I said, the shadows are on top. This is the highlight, this is the shadow, if you guys can see. I hope you guys can at least. I can tell from the view I have on the camera, but I have it as close as I can so it doesn't interfere with my hand. So just, if I put too much pressure with this pencil, it will start looking like black dots, which I don't like. No one wants to see black dots on anyone's face. We want to have a natural skin flow, skin texture, So I just keep laying these down, and I like that so far. So I can even go a little bit darker with my values right here with this pencil. This is what I like, because it works so well with the charcoal that I use. I can go over it like that, and so you don't have to go too crazy with the skin over there. Just leave it like that. I like it like that. So all right, now we are done with that box. box. You know, we dealt with that square section. We can move on to the next. Now, I can see he has some creases in his forehead, some lines. So that's why I sketch right here. So I'm just going to indicate the line before I start shading so I don't get lost. I don't lose my lines. Now again, I'm not really going exactly like the reference. This is just like a general. I'm not trying to get like these perfect lines compared to the reference. If that's what you like to do, that's fine. But for me, as long as it's close enough, that's okay to me. It saves me more time and I enjoy it way more than trying to get every little detail that I see. You know, people know me for details, but I think I create everything. Sometimes I just add a little bit extra for my imagination, but that doesn't mean I'm going exactly to the reference. Sometimes I like to do it, sometimes I don't. Okay, so that was the line. And I know if I shade over this, it's going to get lost. So I'm going to grab a darker pencil, a darker warm gray. This is the darkest actually, out of all the 6 different shades. So just give myself, indicate where the lines are going to be a little bit darker. So when I shade on top of this, the lines don't get missing. Alright, so that's a tip for you guys. Okay, so same principles as we did with before. Grab makeup brush, build from light to what? Light to what? Dark. Good. I feel like class is in session today, so it's good to hear you guys respond. Alright. So everyone has their paintbrush or their makeup brush. Let's go. I grab some light charcoal and then just go on top of this like that. Again, I'm not putting too much pressure because we don't want to create any dark spots. And even though this charcoal is kind of like forgiving, way more forgiving than other brands of charcoal sticks, I still go with the same principle of not. You have to build a habit, you know, so you don't. Because charcoal is messy, you know. That's one of the big reasons why some people don't like charcoal. It's really messy. If you're not careful with it, if you're not gentle with it, it's going to give you a hard time. Okay, so that was the first layer. Grab my darker shade again, just like we did before. So you can see how the crease on the forehead is almost getting lost, even though I indicated where it's going to be. Okay, that's why I went a little bit darker, so at least I can still see through the skin after I shade over it, and then not get lost with the lines. So now we have to blend this into this so it doesn't look like this patchy thing. Okay, this is where the magic happens. Grab the darker charcoal like we did, and then we're going to shade from the dark into the light. That's what I like to do. So I like shade from where it's darker, the square like that, and then just bring it into the light, into the lighter area to create a smooth transition. And in case you go darker, you can always grab some lighter shade, lighter grade of charcoal, go on top of the area you went too dark with, and then it will lighten up the area. That's what I like about this charcoal, you know, because it comes in different shades of gray. You can always adjust. So now you see how slowly I'm blending that into the light. That's beautiful. That's what I want. So I'm going to grab more dark charcoal, go from the dark eyebrow here up, blending upwards, and then in a circular motion sometimes, you know, just, but generally I want to blend into the light areas. That way create a smooth transition. That's how I avoid those lines. You know, some people can shade in squares and then they will you can still see that they shaded in squares after they're done, because you can tell the separation between each boxes, because they didn't transition they didn't blend it to create a smooth transition. So you can see how the lines are almost lost in the forehead. I don't want that. So to bring them back, I have to grab my pencil just to bring them back a little bit more before I lose them. You know, right now they're at a Mayday state, and they are calling for help. They need to be revived. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to grab my pencil. So you see how that blended nicely into the light area now. Kind of looks like one smooth transition. So grab my pencil, just bring back some of the lines. You can see it crosses right here, then it goes on top like that. I'm not trying to go too hard. If I need to go dark, I'll just grab a darker gray. Don't try and press too hard, right? That's what we are looking for. I'm not trying to damage the tooth of the paper. Let the pencil do its work. Use the right tool for the right job. If you need to go darker, grab a darker pencil. Don't try and press really hard with the lighter pencil you have. Okay, so grab my darker pencil. Just go over it like that. Now, those details I created are lost. Most of them are lost because of the transitional blending I was doing. So we just go back, bring them back. You know, it's not a big deal. And then so grab the lighter pencil that we used for those details and then just bring them back a little bit. You know, looking at the reference, it's not like crazy texture, right? So I don't want to go too crazy with it. It's just a little bit cracks here and there. I can see some highlights poking through now. So hopefully this video gives you guys more of an understanding. I'm going to be making more of these walkthrough, talk through, whatever you want to call them, videos where I draw in real time. But most of the videos, the full drawing, like the full videos, will be on Patreon. This video, because it's like the first one, I'm gonna just upload the full thing like this on YouTube for you guys. But some of the other videos, like I'll try and cover other areas of the drawing, you know, the second eye, more skin texture, because I know you guys love skin texture, the nose, the beard, the hair. We'll try and do everything. And I'm not saying YouTube isn't going to get these videos. You guys are going to get them, but maybe you get parts of the video, of the full video. Then the full video will be on Patreon. Sometimes you get a full video, sometimes you get parts, because you know those on Patreon support me with money, and they have to get a little bit more for what they're paying. And I know you guys here support me as well, and I really appreciate every kind of support. But my Patreon is I think $5 a month. So if that's something you can afford and you're interested in like the full videos, then I'll be glad to see you there. But if you can't, don't worry, you can still learn these videos I'll be putting on here. It's not like I'm going to give you guys scraps or anything. Alright, so but yeah, the Patreon is just, even if you don't see the need to get the Patreon, of course you can still learn here. The Patreon is still another way of supporting me. Okay, so It's not just for the videos, it's also to support me as well, because you know I strive to do this as a full-time artist, and you know how sometimes it's difficult for artists. So all right, enough begging, let's just continue with the textures. And then so I can see some okay, it's not crazy stuff, so right now it doesn't look like much, but looking at the reference I can see some little highlights which seem to be popping up. And this is my Tombow Mono Zero eraser. I'm trying to see if I can use this to create those little dots. So, oh yeah, another perk for those who subscribe to my Patreon is I think there's a tier where you get a reference as well. So if you guys want the reference for some of my other drawings, you find them there. For this one, I'm not going to share the reference because it's not mine. You know, I didn't take this photo. This is a drawing of LeBron James. So I got this picture of the internet. So I'm sure if you guys search up, you can probably find the photo somewhere else. If you want to just practice along or draw along with me, or just draw the same thing, then tag me somewhere. That'll be fine. But for my personal original drawings, if you want the reference to follow along, I'll leave them on my Patreon. I don't want to go too crazy with these highlights that I'm seeing on these little highlights I'm seeing on his face. Now, if the drawing was much bigger, right, it would be much easier to add these details. But when it's kind of this size, it's a little bit more difficult. So it's important not to try and go as crazy. If the drawing was larger, I could go in with much more detail. So this is just an electric eraser. I like to kind of go in there, create a little bit more highlights, and yeah. Okay, so I'm just trying to create tiny dots. I don't tap too hard because it will create like a big dot, which I don't want. That's like really tiny ones. This is okay, it's fine. I don't want to go too crazy with it. Then maybe we can just tone the ones up here down a little bit more. And then go a little bit more with the texture, just not too crazy though. I'm not really focused too much on the texture right here. Trying to make sure we have our values straight, and then everything will come together. Trust me, once we start adding all the other parts of the drawing, the details will make much more sense. Trust me. When you focus too much on the details right now, you realize as you go that the drawing starts to look weird. Okay. So we'll end the video here, and we'll be back with more like these, because I'm sure you guys enjoy these kinds of videos. So I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from this. I'll see you guys in the next drawing. All right, take care. Bye.